lot of your work has to do with cues, both verbal, nonverbal. What is the connection between those cues and confidence?
Yes. Okay. So when the research looked at highly charismatic or highly contagiously confident people, right, people who exude confidence, they found that highly charismatic people send out a specific set of cues. So cues are the social signals that humans send to the world. And so what they found is they could watch videos of people and by looking at their body language, identify who would rank off the charts on the charisma scale. So there's a very simple charisma assessment you can do about how charismatic you are. And they found that they could predict these based on these very specific set of skills. And the reason for this is because highly charismatic people are constantly signaling to the world very clearly, you can trust me and you can rely on me. And so my work has been trying to create a glossary or a dictionary of those cues. What are all the cues? So I've found that there are 96 different cues that we can learn.
Wow.
That highly charismatic people use. And what highly charismatic people do, it's amazing, is they use them like recipes. So for example, a highly charismatic person will walk into a room, very quickly assess the room needs of their teams and say, today's a collaboration day, warmth. And they pull out warmth cues. And that signals high warmth, but it also infects high warmth. And so what's amazing about these cues is that they can be used interchangeably. You can use them like a dial or a thermostat.
That's impressive. And that takes time to develop that level of skill set. And I keep thinking of Dave Ramsey in my head. When you think about a charismatic leader who uses verbal, nonverbal cues brilliantly, it's one of the reasons for his success. And I think all leaders are like, well, I'm not Dave. I can't do that on stage. I can't do that in my business. What hope do I have? But you're saying these are cues that we can all learn, and it becomes like a muscle as we flex it that we kind of use without realizing it.
Yes, exactly. So what's amazing is that these cues are actually very quick to learn, faster than you would think. And by the way, there's 4 different options you have. So you mentioned 2 of them, verbal, nonverbal, but also vocal. So how we say our words, our volume, our pace, our cadence. And the last one is even our ornaments, the colors we wear, the glasses we wear, what's behind us in our Zoom backgrounds, the pin on our lapel. Those are all of them are charismatic cues. I'll give you an example of the difference of how we can very quickly adopt these. So a lot of cues we send off in the first 10 seconds. First 10 seconds of a video call, or interaction, or a phone call. And here's a very quick example. People who are high in warmth, so signaling high trust, typically have their hands visible in the first 10 seconds. And this actually has to do with a brain response. So subconsciously, very charismatic people pick up on this, which is that if we were approached by a stranger, we don't know their intention. The moment we can see their hands, our brain goes, they're not carrying a weapon, a rock, or a spear. And look, they're even greeting us if we have an open palm to someone. And so something interesting happens if I were to do this entire interview without my hands visible, so if I were to keep my hands behind my back, a part of your amygdala where you process fear would be slightly activated, slightly elevated. That would make it very hard for you to open up to me. That would make it very hard for you to trust me. But if in the first 10 seconds I say, hey, good morning, hi, George, hey, everyone, and I hold my hand up, that immediately deactivates your amygdala, and it's a trust signal. Well, that doesn't take very long to learn, right? Everyone who's listening to this podcast, if you walk into a room,
just wave
your
more.
Best bet, that's it. Hey, everyone, morning. If you hop on a video call, hey, good morning, hi, good to see everyone. Just that. You just signaled high warmth, and that immediately disengaged someone's amygdala. So some of these cues are so simple but powerful.
Yeah. So a lot of times leaders sabotage that without realizing it, and some of it's bad habits. So what are some tiny tweaks leaders can make to their cues to have a huge impact on charisma, self-confidence, team culture, and eventually business growth?
Okay, love it. So building on the last one we just talked about, pockets. Oh my goodness. Pockets are just charisma killers, right? It immediately hides your hands. So a very simple one is if you can keep your hands visible in the first 10 seconds. The second thing is what can also happen is sometimes leaders have been taught the mistaken nonverbal rule that still is better. And it's true that leaders are very purposeful with their movements. But taking that one step further, a very small tweak is if you're saying something important, you want to non-verbally emphasize it with a gesture. So what we found, we did a massive TED Talk experiment where we analyzed thousands of hours of TED Talks. And we found that the most viewed TED Talks use more purposeful gestures. So for example, the really good TED speakers will get on stage and say, today I have 3 big ideas. And they hold up 3. What they found is that when we have gesture that aligns with our words, people are more likely to believe your words. So for example, if I were to say today I have a really big idea, but hold up my fingers to be very, very small as if I was holding a penny, you're more likely to believe my gesture than my words. So a very, very small tweak here is you don't have to have lots of gestures. I want you to have purposeful gestures. So if you're talking about 3 things, hold up 3. If you're talking about a big idea, hold it like it's a beach ball big. The second one, we talk about visible hands, purposeful gestures. The third big accidental mistake I hear is accidental use of the question inflection. So what research has found is that when we use the question inflection, people begin to doubt our words. So the question inflection is when we go up at the end of our sentence. So it sounds like I'm saying a question instead of actually saying a statement. And people do this most often on their name. You will hear this over and over again where a leader will hop on a big important Zoom call, or they get on stage for a pitch. They say, good morning, my name is Vanessa. Happy to be here. We'll wait a few minutes while everyone logs on. No. That actually is telling people, I am doubting myself and you should doubt me too. So 1, make sure you say your name, don't ask your name. And this is also very important. We do a lot of sales trainings, and we analyzed hundreds of hours of sales calls. And we found that this was the biggest predictor of which agents couldn't close, was people who use the question inflection on their price, on their worth, on their value. So if you want to take a note out of Dave Ramsey's book, is he says it. He doesn't ask. He states. So what we would hear is on these sales calls is a salesperson would hop on the phone. They'd be in their close, right? The most important part of their pitch. And it would go like this. We'd love to have your business. We'd love to work with you. And the price of our package is $5,000. If you ask your number, you are begging people to negotiate with you. So that's the last one I wanted to share, is making sure that on your important numbers, your important statements, your name, you are saying, not asking.